everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Momentum Live. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautifully sunny Tuesday afternoon here in Melbourne, Australia. My name's Michael Hardinge, and I'm really excited about today's guest. We've got Annette from Maroondah Youth Services joining us to talk about We Know Your Name But Not Your Story. And this is a brand new documentary that is just launched over the weekend, where we collaborated with a bunch of young people over the city of Maroondah to be able to tell the stories of 10 amazingly interesting and diverse young people, and I think this film has been absolutely amazing so far. The response has been great over the past couple of days. And before I bring in Annette to talk about this, I'm actually going to show you one of the young people that was involved in the film, just so you get a sense of the sort of content and how powerful this film really is. So let me show you a little bit from Emily's story right now.
When I was younger, my family got involved with family violence, and it was a really stressful part of my life. I went to like 6 or 7 different primary schools, and also we stayed at a lot of safe houses because of my dad. I thought it was normal that all parents argued, or that parents would hit each other. We all knew very well what was going on. We saw it happening, and it was really scary. Something I'd tell my past self: everything will be all right, that there is an end to it, and that you will feel safe one day.
And joining me today to talk about We Know Your Name But Not Your Story is Annette from Maroondah Youth Services. Annette, thank you so much for joining us on Momentum Live.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Thanks for coming on. So, first off, how are you doing? How's the family doing? How are you all enjoying isolation?
We're doing as well as can be expected. I have a toddler at home, so that makes things interesting. But
fun times.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, I guess to kick us off, we saw a little bit about Emily's story there, but we had the pleasure of talking to 10 young people in this project. But I guess, can you tell us a little bit about the project as a whole and why council decided to run the project and create this film?
Yeah. So we had an opportunity to apply for a grant that was provided by Vic Health. And it was actually a project that they've been working on for a number of years, where a whole lot of councils trialled different programs, and they selected the kind of 4 top ones that they thought were the most successful, and then wanted to see if they were able to be replicated in different council areas. So that was just an exciting thing for us to try something new. But when we saw that one of those 4 programs was a storytelling program, that was really exciting for us, because our service has been exploring that idea of storytelling and the power and the impact that stories can have. There's just something about them that people can relate to, I guess, more than just stats and facts. So it's really kind of aligned well with what we were trying to achieve in the rest of our service.
Yeah, for sure. And the film did premiere over the weekend. So what's the response been like so far? You know, it's only been out for a couple of days, but it sounds like it's been a pretty amazing response so far.
Yeah, it's been incredible. A really good response. I think across a number of different platforms, we've had nearly 2,000 views, which is great. But what we also know is that that's just, I guess, the number of computers that are logged in. We know that it's getting screened at, in class, virtual classrooms and meetings and that kind of thing. So there's actually a lot more people watching it. I think one of the most exciting things for me, though, is that the feedback that we're receiving directly to us is coming from people who are in positions of decision-making and power. And so for people who have seen the video, or for those who haven't, it is really targeted at decision-makers who are doing things that impact young people's lives. So to know that we've hit the audience that we were trying to hit is really exciting.
Totally. And that's the main goal, right? Like, I mean, numbers are fantastic. And, if 1 million people saw this, it'd be amazing. But if even 1 or 2 of the right people that we actually made it for, that have the ability to be able to, make an impact on these young people's lives, see it, I'm sure that makes the entire process worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess we made a really conscious decision with this film as well to let young people lead this. Why was that so important to the success of the film?
Yeah. I mean, youth participation is something that we really try to embed in all of our programs because we know that it works and it's the best way to do practice with young people.
Yeah,
If they are included in the conversation and they're included in decision making, the outcomes for them are going to be much greater. And also, this film is about empowering young people and allowing them to have a voice. So if we weren't going to do that in developing the film, it's pretty hypocritical of us to put the film out there with that message. So yeah, I think for us, we just knew that if we wanted it to be as successful as it could be, we had to include young people as much as we possibly could in the decision making process.
for sure. And I think one of the ways that really stood out for me is not only are the young people in the video sharing their stories, but like the story collectors that we all worked with together to kind of interview the young people as well. Like the entire process was kind of just led by them, which I think just shows how much like amazing work they did, especially in the the few days of training that they got to learn how to tell stories and to do interviewing and things like that. They just did such an amazing job, and the fact that it is made by young people for young people is yeah, it just when you watch it, it really just sort of shows that yeah, it's just so amazing that they were involved and did so well. Especially for a group of young people that would have never really made a film or done sort of anything like this before as well, which is great. Um,
Yeah,
with that,
really.
with that though, I guess why did the youth services team choose video as a way to tell stories?
Mm. I mean, part of that was the program that we signed on to do. It was a video storytelling project.
Yeah,
But I think we were attracted to that because of I guess, the power and reach that video can have um, in a different way. I mean, personal storytelling, and if we, were to have young people standing up in front of an audience telling a story, it does have an impact, but it's in a different way. I think that by having something in a video format that we can take with us to various settings, um, it just gives us more freedom and flexibility to use that to make a bigger impact on a wider scale, if that makes sense. It's not always easy to take young people into the meetings we need to take them into because they're at school or it's just not appropriate for them to come and that kind of thing. So this
yeah,
way we have something tangible that we can take with us and still have young people's voices being heard without necessarily having to physically have them there.
yeah, totally, for sure. And also, if you do have any questions throughout for Annette or for about the film, let us know in the comments. We'll happily answer them for you. Um, Annette, I guess it was amazing to be able to hear all these young people tell their stories. What was it like for you hearing some of these incredible stories and I guess diverse stories from different young people across Maroondah?
Yeah, I mean, I was really lucky. I think I got to see probably 6 of the 10 being interviewed.
Yeah,
So I got to see the full interview, which made it really hard when we came to the editing process or when you were editing because we know how much stuff we actually had to cut out of their stories.
for sure.
That was also great. But um, yeah, I don't know. I think it just, I mean, I know this because I work with young people all the time, but to hear how much they have experienced at such a young age, I think is, yeah, I find that really kind of, I don't know, it depends on the story, I guess, but powerful, confronting,
Mm,
moving. It's just, yeah, I think that sometimes people really underestimate what young people have had in their lives and what they've um, had to go through. And the resilience, too, for all of the storytellers is phenomenal.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it kind of makes me that I didn't know a lot of these young people before they told their stories, but made me really proud of them.
Yeah, totally. And I think we had enough content there to easily make like a feature length documentary out of all their stories, and all of them like have so much depth. And yeah, this is really just a drop in the water of what what their individual stories were, but also what young people have to offer to decision makers. Um, And I know it's kind of hard to pick favorites, but did you have like a favorite story that connects with you the most out of the 10 young people that were in the film?
Um, I mean, that's like asking me to pick my favorite child, so I don't know if I could do that. There are definitely stories that I think connect with me more than others on a personal level because they are more similar to my own experiences. So,
For sure.
I'm not I haven't moved to Australia from another country, so obviously the young people that are talking about that, I just don't have that personal experience, but I don't value or preference the other stories above those ones just because it's not my experience.
Yeah.
I do have a favorite line from the film though, that was said by Satria, one of our young people, just because I think it sums up so beautifully what the film is about. And he says, help us make decisions, but don't make decisions for us. And I just think that is so eloquently put, and it makes me cry every time I watch it.
That's absolutely one of my favorite lines as well. I think he absolutely nailed that. And there's a lot of there's just so much good advice in that. So yeah, it is really hard to pick favorites because it does feel like picking a favorite child. But yeah, they all, I think everyone, no matter who is watching, everyone will find someone in this film to be able to connect with. And I think that's why it is so powerful having such a diverse group of young people being a part of the project, which is great. So I guess with that, we've kind of touched on this already, but why is it important to tell the stories of young people, but also give them the platform to share what's important to them?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have talked about youth participation, but I think particularly looking at the stories of young people, and I guess one of the things we wanted to do with this film was to get diverse stories and to get stories from young people who maybe have even less of an opportunity to talk about their story and their lives, is just that it's powerful for everyone involved. So the person telling their story, they often reflect about how empowering that feels to be able to actually put that out there, and for people to really hear them and understand them. And then from an audience perspective, I think, yeah, to be able to connect well with those stories, because there are going to be commonalities there. So I think, yeah, the power of young people being able to actually tell those stories is just, I don't know, one of the sessions that we had, the training sessions for our story collectors, was about the power of storytelling and the actual physiological changes that happen in your brain when you hear a story. And I wish I could summarize, but I can't. But I think, yeah, there's just something in that. It just makes you think about things in a different way.
Totally.
That's going to be more impactful if it's coming from the actual person that it happened to, as opposed to someone even secondhand telling that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Like firsthand experience is one of those things that is so important, especially when you're using a format like video and film to be able to tell stories. And yeah, I think it. Yeah, no matter who you connect with most, there'll be at least one thing I think people will take away, and everyone will take away different things from it. But that's the whole point of it, right? It's kind of just to connect with as many people as possible in as many different ways that we can. So I guess with that, in terms of the initial concept of final delivery, how did the content evolve? Did it like meet your expectations? What was the final? How does the final result sit with all of you at the council?
I mean, the final result is better than I ever anticipated that it would be. Not in terms of, I always expected that the stories would be amazing. It was more around, there was a period of time where we were really unsure how we would get 10 diverse stories into one storyline, I guess, because they are so different. And so there was quite a lot of work put into, what is the theme of the questions, and how do we get a narrative when we're actually piecing together 10 stories into one. So that was, for a while, I guess, an area that I was just concerned we wouldn't be able to pull it off. And I don't think we would have been able to do that if we didn't have the partnerships that we had with Momentum and with Simon Oates, who came in to facilitate some storytelling workshops to our young people. And it's been modelled off a program that was developed in Corangamite Shire Council, and they have a very different demographic and municipality to us because they are a rural community. They have a very small population compared to ours, and it's spread out over a really kind of big area. So trying to figure out how we could mold that program to suit Maroondah was a challenge. But I honestly could not be happier with the end result. It's amazing.
For sure, yeah. I'm so happy with how it's come out as well. I think it's, quite often, we've spoken about it in the past before, but quite often, even after watching it 50 times, you still get a bit teary and emotional sort of hearing all the impact that their stories have and their advice. And there's some gold nuggets in this film that really have the ability to make a massive difference in the community. I know Emily, for example, talks about having a family violence watch list, which to our knowledge doesn't exist at the moment. And that, hearing her story and how much trauma that her family had to go through just goes to show that that's a solution that could really benefit people that are, having difficulties in the family violence situation. Trent's story has some really constructive feedback about how the mental health sector can improve on a sector-wide level as well. So, I think it just goes to show that this first-hand experience from all these people are really going to hopefully benefit and get in front of the right people. So there's probably a lot of different wow moments that you can have throughout the film, but for you, was there like a particular wow moment you had during the production process?
It was probably seeing the first cut of the film. As you said, there were lots of wow moments, like even hearing the young people telling their stories and seeing our young story collectors interview storytellers. All of that was amazing. But I think seeing the first cut of the film and being like, oh wow, okay, we've got something really amazing here, and this is going to be really great. That was it for me.
For sure, yeah. And I think I guess to kind of wrap up, because when we've already touched on this a little bit, but what sort of outcome do you hope that these videos are going to have?
We targeted them at decision makers. So outcome one is that those people watch it and are, impacted in some way. But to see them actually implementing something as a result of this film is really what I would like to happen. I would like to hear that an organisation or a school or a business has changed part of their practice to include young people in decision making and to capture their voices. That would be the ultimate.
Yeah, totally. And I think even if one organisation, if one decision maker could do that for a young person, it'd make it worth it. Obviously, we'd love it to be done on a much broader scale, but even if we have the ability to change one young person's life, I think that we've done our jobs properly. And look, I think that's a really great place to leave it, Annette. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people go if they do want to check the film out?
So they can watch it on Maroondah Youth website, and it's on our Maroondah Youth Services Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well.
For sure. And we'll be sure to post those links in the comment section too, so people can very quickly jump there straight after this and go watch the film. But yeah, Annette, thank you so much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing more people see the film, having more people watch.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Annette. So thank you all so much for watching today. I hope you've been really enjoying these live streams, because we've certainly been enjoying making them for you. And next week is a big one. We have Ryan Chamley, the creator and director of Rusted On, joining us, which is now streaming on Netflix, along with the behind the scenes featurette that I had the pleasure of directing for the show. So definitely go check that out and let us know if you have any questions for Ryan. In the meantime, we're going to be answering all of them live next week at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. Go enjoy some sunshine. It's some beautiful weather out in Melbourne today. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.